our arcane tradition. We have choices are Green Mage, select that. Green Mage, arcane tradition features. Green Magic. Spells from the Green Magic list are considered wizard spells for you. Fairy Fire, it's a fantastic spell. Hunter's Mark, that's a great spell as well. Goodberry, that's great. That's essentially a little heal spell. Detect Poison and Disease may be good. That doesn't sound like great. Longstrider. Longstrider is a great spell. If it functions similarly to Baldur's Gate 3, which I've recently played, it's just in a tactics game. It is just phenomenal, and it essentially it increases, at least in Baldur's Gate 3, it increases your movement by 3, which is approximately, for the average character in Baldur's Gate, is 9. So I'm not sure what the implementation is here, but in Baldur's Gate it worked out to be about a 30% increase, and it's a concentration spell, so once you cast it, it's up until you lose concentration. So that could be very cool. If I think it's just movement. I don't think it actually affects dash. But Barkskin. Barkskin is a great spell. Increases your AC. Should last a long time, I think. I'm not sure how it's implemented in this game or in D&D SRD 5.1. Pass Without Trace. I'm not up on this one. I'm not sure. Pass Without Trace. I have to look that one up. But if it operates like some sort of stealth, might be some sort of kind of stealth mechanic spell. Lesser Restoration can be helpful. Find Traps. Find Traps is a great spell. I don't know how it's implemented in this version of D&D, but if I remember from the old Baldur's Gate games, Find Traps was a fantastic spell. Instead of having to, detect a trap or do a roll check or an ability check on your rogue Find Traps ability, for example, you could just, any traps that are within range just get detected, which is great. It can speed up your traversal of certain areas if they're trap heavy. Protection from poison can definitely be helpful. Create food. I guess would be rations in this game. It could be really good, considering, depending on how much food it produces. Considering if you're on the road and you need to rest and you're low on rations, could be very useful. Daylight can, I think, would be a very strong spell in this game, or any game that's going to have you doing a lot of underground stuff where there's going to be darkness. Daylight dispels magical darkness, I'm pretty sure, as well as it fills up a large area with light. So any enemies that are going to be sensitive to bright light will be at disadvantage, and then your characters will be able to target them without having to worry about them being in dim light or unlit and be at disadvantage for that. So, and disadvantage in this game is humongous. It can radically change the way that battles play out, and it's a core mechanic in this game. Disadvantage and advantage. Warden of the Forest. Proficiency, light armor. Cool. So, I guess that would mean that we also can, cast spells, no problem wearing light armor. Proficiency short bow. Well, we don't really need that since we are an elf and we have proficiency longbow, which is better. But you do get fighting style archery. That's pretty great. That's I'm pretty sure. I think that's +2 to hit, maybe +2 to damage with bows, archery, or crossbow. Natural Explorer. You benefit from the same advantages as rangers when in a forest environment. I'm not sure what that means. I think that might have to do with an increased, or you're harder to detect in those situations. In other words, it might be easier for you to stealth. So maybe your noise circle in this game is reduced. So, all in all, very cool. Now, I don't think that, from what I've read, there's no intention, at least it's not on the horizon anytime soon, and I think even by launch, to have multi-classing, which is unfortunate. I see there's like things like Green Mage would be, I think could pair really nicely with so a lot of these spells are kind of support spells. They don't really require, it's not about doing a ton of damage or anything. But they might pair nicely with a few levels of rogue. Maybe creating something like an arcane archer with a druid flair, druid theme. Cool. So let's check out Lore Master. Lore Master, Keen Mind, advantage on Arcana, History, and Investigation ability checks. Advantage to copy scrolls to your spellbook. Scroll and potion crafting costs and times are halved. Okay, let's look at this. Green Mage at higher levels. Level 6. Okay, so under the traditions, we can see some of the benefits they get at higher levels. So I don't think obviously everything is implemented in the game at this point, but level 6, Magical Arrow. Your arrow can transform into a vine on impact. The target must make a strength saving throw or be restrained until the end of your next turn. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. All uses recharge at the end of a long rest. That's really good. So if assume our intelligence modifier was 4, we'd be able to use that ability 4 times before a long rest. So that's a great tactical ability. So we'd want to definitely target weaker enemies without a lot of strength, to increase our chances of keeping those enemies from getting close. Now, a lot of the enemies you care about getting close, or essentially not getting further away. Most enemies you care about not getting close are enemies with higher strength because they're gonna potentially melee you. But this could work very well. The spell could work very well against rogue-like characters. So anything that essentially anything that might have a sneak attack damage, or fast enemies that don't have a lot of strength but high dexterity, might be hard to hit, or use dexterity as their 2-hit modifier. That's cool. Now, Lore Master. So it looks like if you really want somebody to be your, who's going to handle all your Arcana, History, and Investigation ability checks, this is what you would choose. If they mainly focused on story, I guess. Scroll and potion crafting costs and times are halved. I don't know what kind of impact that would have in the game, how much of an advantage that would be. So I not really sure. See what higher levels, what do they have? Spell Academic. You learn 1 additional spell each time you gain a level. Okay, that's potentially interesting. I think the question is, does that mean that you get an additional spell slot as well? Or you just get one extra spell to learn? If it's just one extra spell to learn, I don't think that's a good ability at all. Especially, I mean, if it was a sorcerer, maybe. But for a wizard, they can just find spells and get spells and scribe those spells into their book. One extra spell that they would get on level up isn't going to be much of an advantage when they can just buy spells, find spells, or spell scrolls, and use those to scribe into a book. So this is it's a big question mark of a tradition. And I guess definitely for early access, I don't think I think the upper limit of what you can achieve in the game is like level 5 or 6. This doesn't seem like something that would be worth the investment early on. Okay, Shock Arcanist. Arcane Tradition features Arcane Warfare. When casting spells from the war list, they count as being cast at one slot level higher than the one you actually use. So, Burning Hands, Magic Missile, Thunder Wave, Acid Arrow, Scorching Ray, Flaming Sphere, Fireball, and Lightning Bolt. And now I hope there's going to be more spells than that. But those are all great, especially early on in the game. These are some of your major spells. Magic Missile is fantastic, and remains fantastic throughout the game. Thunder Wave can be good. It can be good, but it requires you to be in close to melee range with enemies in order to use it. Acid Arrow can be very good as well. Scorching Ray is fantastic. Flaming Sphere, I'm not quite sure how that's implemented in this game, so I can't say for sure. Fireball, always a favorite. And Lightning Bolt. So essentially, Scorching Ray, for example, when you cast it, it casts 3 rays at its, I think it's a level 2 spell. So it casts 3 rays at that level. If you cast it as a level 3 spell, it would cast 4 rays. So what this does is, without having to cast it at a higher level slot, you actually get those 4 rays. Same thing with Magic Missile. So this is very strong. So essentially, if on a Scorching Ray, for example, this Arcane Warfare is effectively increasing your Scorching Ray damage, assuming it hits, by 30%. That's a huge buff. Magic Missile, which I think at level 1 casts 3 projectiles. So your Magic Missile, when cast by a Shark Arcanist, will cast 4. That's also a 30% increase. And the thing with Magic Missile is they're guaranteed hit, so there's no chance to miss. So it's guaranteed. So it increases effectively your Magic Missile damage by 30%. Yeah, so very cool. Let's see what's going on at higher levels. Level 6, Arcane Fury. Add your proficiency bonus and int bonus to your evocation spell damage for 1 minute. Recharges after a long rest. So your proficiency bonus, I think by level 6, is going to be +3. When you start off, it's +2. And so it increases as you level up periodically. But I think by level 5 or so, definitely by level 6, it's going to be +3. You also get to add your intelligence bonus to your evocation spell damage for 1 minute now. By level 6, this character specifically very much can have intelligence 20, so we would be at +5, plus a proficiency bonus of +3, that's a total of +8 at that point. +8 damage. Now the question is, how does that work with spells that have multiple projectiles? Like a Scorching Ray. Is that +8 per Scorching Ray? Is that +8 per... let's say, per Magic Missile? If that's the case, that's really, really strong. That's really strong. It's almost double. It's essentially doubling. On Magic Missile, it would be more than doubling the damage of that spell. On Scorching Ray, it would be almost doubling the damage of that spell. So very cool. I think so. We'll go with Shock Arcanist this time around. Let's choose our spells. Got a couple. We get to choose 2 spells from level 1 this time. All the ones that are grayed out are ones that we already have. So. Potentially Burning Hands. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 Featherfall is fantastic. It's... I don't know enough about what kind of heights and environments could benefit from Featherfall, so I'm going to skip that for now. Fog Cloud. Take a look at that. So the target becomes heavily obscured. Creature's vision is heavily obscured, disadvantage on attack rolls. Attack rolls against creature have advantage. So I would imagine those creatures in this area cannot see anything. Summon Fog Cloud for you to control. So it is a concentration spell and its area effect. It lasts for an hour, so you can move this around the battlefield. That could be cool, especially if you're going to play some ranged. We're going to be doing a lot of ranged damage. If we're relying upon melee, we'd be if we were relying upon melee, we wouldn't get as much advantage out of it, because our melee characters would be in the fog, hitting the enemies that are also in the fog, and they would have disadvantage as well. Okay, potentially interesting. And jump. I think there's probably treasure chests and things that we want to use. Oh, change these. Okay. Okay, so shield is only for self. Grant shielded armor class increases by +5, and immunity to magic missile. I don't... good spell, but probably something we don't need to choose right off the bat, unless we come across a lot of wizards or casters early on. But jump, because we definitely want to... We'll probably get use out of that, in order to help our characters jump over to hard to reach treasure chests and things. And then Burning Hands is a good spell. I just don't know how often we're going to be in range of multiple enemies up close and personal with our wizard. At least we're going to try not to be in those situations. Let's try Fog Cloud. Fog Cloud and jump. Pair our spells. I'm more of a Bless fan than a Bane fan. Bless remains on the characters. Bane is targeted on enemies, And so as you defeat them, you're effectively diminishing your advantage from it. It can be good, it's just I think that in general I'd rather have plus 1d4 to attacks and plus 1d4 to saving throws on all my characters versus reducing enemies' attack chance by 1d4 and their saving throws by 1d4. So free up one spell there. Also, let's see. Healing Word is a ranged cure. I'm going to keep my party pretty close to each other, so I don't really see the need for this. So I'm going to unselect that one as well. We got Guiding Bolt. It's a pretty big damage spell for such a low level spell. 46 damage. That's very strong. Also inflicts targeted by Guiding Bolt, which allows the first target against that creature to have advantage. Cool. Inflict Wounds is a potentially big damage spell, and if the creature does get too close in melee range, essentially, then we can do a big hit here. 3d10 is very good. And there's no save on that. It's just have to hit with a melee attack. So especially in a situation where either the enemy is disadvantaged on because they're blinded or something like that, or our cleric has advantage on the attack, the really strong guaranteed damage. Or should say close to guaranteed damage. Alright, detect good and evil. Probably don't need that. Detect magic. Probably don't need that at this point in the game. Detect versus evil and good. Now, it's a great spell. The problem is it's a concentration spell. I can only have one concentration spell going at any given time. And we Shield of Faith is a concentration spell as well, and we want to be putting it on our cleric. Gonna have high AC and add the +2 armor class. Will make them very hard to hit. So I think this is the concentration spell we're going to want to be using. But I've got 2 open spots. All right, we're going to choose. Well, like, might as well keep Healing Word selected just in case we need to heal at range for a small amount. I don't think we're going to come across aberrations, celestials, elementals, fays, fiends. Well, I think we'll probably come across undead. Right, so I think the question is, which is more advantageous? +2 AC or disadvantage? Probably disadvantage. Alright, so we'll like protect versus evil and good. Bless his concentration too. This is one of the things I don't like about the 5.1 system, and essentially D&D 5 system, is that you can't. There's really no buff stacking. So it's like, okay, am I going to concentrate and give everybody bless, or am I going to give up bless and then concentrate and give everybody, or give one target protect versus evil and good, or should I use that for AC? I don't know enough about the system. Hopefully we'll be able to later on channel additional concentration spells. One just feels so limiting. And just makes me also kind of want to push the character even more into the fighter play style with small buffs. Alright, so we're going to just validate this. And we are good to go.
Welcome to Gorim's Emporium.
Some of these characters are really damn scary. And the lady that essentially deputizes you, man, she's weathered many a storm. And this merchant. Here, let's see if I can bring her up.
Welcome to Gorim's Emporium.
Are you Gorim?
That's me, the one and only.
Ah!
What do you have to sell?
Everything you'll need for going out there into the Badlands. Food, ropes, torches, and of course armor and weapons. I also have some other stock like remedies and antitoxins. That can come in handy. Ever heard of deep spiders?
Okay, let's see if we can find some ration pouches. Aha. Oh, and they're only 2 gold a piece. Buy all of them, I think. How much do they weigh? Wait, 3 each? Distributed across 4 characters, it's not a big deal, so. Buy all of those. So there's a crafting system in this too, but I obviously don't want to make any investments in that until I learn more about it. But you do have to come across recipes. And I think either through some quests or faction related stuff or just out in the world, so. Let's conclude that. Hair limb reached the outpost, so it looks like the game is happy we bought some stuff.
Deputies? A word, if you please.
So famous already. I love it. You were in there too. Are you a
Famous
member of the council?
already.
I'm Annie Bagmorder, quartermaster of the Scavengers Guild. We don't have a seat in there, but they all know exploring the Badlands without us would be a bad idea. That's why you should stop by our headquarters downtown. You'll need our services, I'm sure.
Is that compulsory?
No. But you'll find our services useful. Everyone does. Did Lord Karen not tell you?
No. He pretty much stuck to giving orders.
Oh, right. Anyway, we offer plenty of help and advice to beginners like you.
We are grown-ups, you know. At least, most of us are.
Of course you are. Well, good luck.
Scavengers, eh? I never knew if they were legit or not. So what do you think? Should we check out their headquarters?
It's not far, but
I've had enough talking. Let's go kill some monsters.
if there's business to be done, we can't afford not to.